Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Our U.S. military bases being targeted now. Since yesterday, we seem to have attacks on military bases. So there was a shooting at one. They termed it a domestic dispute, and another base locked down near its highest alert level, MacDill Air Force Base, I think in New Jersey. Uh, and then just recently, uh, explosives were found in a laundry truck, and it shut down a Texas base. So looks like we, maybe having our U.S. bases targeted. Now we know that the Chinese have been buying land next to our U.S. bases for quite some time, right? So that is a problem, and we're gonna have to really, I think, get them out, get them out. Uh, I don't know, seize that land. So it's amazing that we even allow that, from another country. But who knows? Maybe that'll be a problem because a drone attack launched from a neighboring land could go onto a military base. $1,000 drone, multiple drones could cause billions of dollars of damage if it hit, high-end aircraft. So I think it's going to be one of those things that we're really going to have to, crank down on. So this is part of, the future of the U.S. I think, going after the deep state, they're going to come after us in a lot of different ways. So let's look at some of this. So, these military bases, when I was on military base, you can't have a weapon on a military base. If you're like a Navy SEAL, warrior, whatever, you can't have a weapon. And that's the way it is. Only the base military police have weapons. That could be a problem going forward. So they may have to start to designate some people, senior military types, that can start to open carry military weapons, in the hip, guns, whatever. I always thought that should have been for the senior military. That should be something that was allowed, but we'll have to see going forward. There's always ways that could be misused and so forth, but it may come to the point where we need it because we've had some serious shootings on military bases. And I remember as a SEAL that if we were transporting weapons, we could carry. But other than that, you didn't carry a weapon. You didn't have a weapon. It was always locked away. The guys that were armor guys that were in charge of the weapons, they kept the weapons, and they would have a weapon on them. Before the rest of us, you don't walk around with a gun unless you're training. We went to Niland, California, and pretty much everybody's, the guns were all out. You had your guns with you. You put them back into the armory at night after training. But, during the day, you're walking around with your, pistol on your belt, whatever. But, going forward, that might have to be looked at. So look at this. New Jersey's largest military base just went on high alert after suspicious packages. So prompting the second most highest alert level. I think alert level Charlie. I think Delta is the highest one. But this is some of the things that we're going to, I believe, start to see more of. So we have 2 straight days now of these problems. New Jersey, this was yesterday, And then today we have another one, another laundry truck full of explosives. So the domestic related shooting leaves one dead, another injured at New Mexico Air Force Base. I guess they transported the injured to Texas for somebody to be treated. So they're calling it domestic related. Tuesday evening, one person dead, another injured, according to military base officials. Holloman Air Force Base. So around 5:30, a brief lockdown was placed following the reports of an active shooter. Base officials told Military Times in a statement on Wednesday the lockdown was lifted shortly thereafter when security force personnel, so they're the ones with the weapons, confirmed that the scene was safe. Now, when I was an active SEAL, we would often get tasked to go against the security forces on the bases. And very often we were able to bypass their security and get on the base and do mischief, right? So they focus pretty much all of their visuals and cameras or whatever on the front gate, right? So we're like, okay, we'll come in, over the fence, under the fence, through the drainage system, whatever, in the if they're by water, which a lot of the naval bases we hit were on the water. So they knew that we were coming too. So they had extra security, and they were highly vigilant, lights on where they normally wouldn't have them. So, it's, even though they stacked the deck against us, like I said, we often could bypass their security, right? So, we're definitely going to have to see our bases get a little bit more aggressive with their security. And maybe they have over the years. I don't know. I've been on them. I go to bases occasionally, very occasionally, for being a retiree to do different things. I don't think that the security's any better on the bases than when I was in. In fact, it could be a little bit less, because it used to be where there were active duty military police, and now they're contracting a lot of that out. So it depends on the level of the people that are coming in. Some of those contractors are like we did when I was in SEAL Team 6. We had like former Navy SEALs that were like combat vets. That was our security. It was like crazy good. So now at some of these bases, probably have former military police that get out, get into an organization that provides security, and they continue their operation. So I don't know. Again, I think that our bases are highly, highly vulnerable, right? Because we've had, active shooters. Remember in Texas where that one radical Muslim, shot up a bunch of people. And, there were officers that were saying that, they complained that this guy was radical, that they should take him out. But, he was Muslim. And so they looked the other way, and he ended up shooting the crap out of a bunch of people, killing a bunch of people. So, and no one could stop him because no one had weapons. He had the weapon, and he just went in the chow hall or whatever and just started shooting the hell out of everybody. And then you have to wait for the military police to respond. So that's the way it is. So I don't think we're going to see some good results in our military bases. I actually, when I got out at one time, I worked for a company very briefly that, they had us go in and survey. And I did the survey, and I said, you guys get container ships that, dock like in your area. All your focus, because, I noticed it for my 24-year career, all your focus is on the front gate, and you're not looking at anything else. I think that, there could be a possibility where you could have a, some type of nuclear device that comes into one of these containers on one of these container ships. And sure enough, not long after I had that intuition and I talked about it, that actually happened. All right. So, or they had a threat. And I don't know what the threat is, if there really was something on there, because it was in the news. And so our military bases are, have always, I think, been under threat. The only reason why we haven't had something major, other than multiple shooter incidents, is that America's just been really safe until the Biden administration. So, and they let all those terrorists in. So we're definitely going to have problems, guys. We've talked about this for a long time. It is. I'm talking to all the people out there that were on the military bases. All of you hardheads out there that think we've done it this way for a long time, we don't need to change anything. You better think. You better think about what's going on right now, right? Get it from a military vet. And I'm sure there's a lot of military vets like me think the same way, that you guys are very, very weak. All right. So don't be surprised if we see something pretty major happen on some of these bases, guys. So anyway, that's the two. And then today, explosives found in laundry truck shuts down Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas. All right, so they said the missile gate at Texas Shepherd Air Force Base was shut down Wednesday morning. The missile gate has been shut down, has been closed to inbound traffic. So the situation is currently under investigation. Thanks for your patience. Emergency reports suggest that explosives were found in a laundry truck. This is not something small. This is a major thing. And then right now, every friggin' base in America should be like on high alert right now, right? But I guarantee you that's not happening. I promise you, I can bet you that it's not happening, right? However, base officials have not released any further information about the situation at press time. All right, so the shutdown will remain in place until they figure out what's going on, until they pull their heads out of their asses. So, and that could take a long time, right? That might never happen, actually. So I'm not a fan of regular military. They have their ways, and it's hard to get them to move. It's really hard to get them to move, right? So until crazy shit starts to happen. So for me, over the last 3 events over the last couple days, that should be every friggin' base right now should be on high friggin' alert, right? And it should stay that way. And they should start to up their security. Should look at their security systems and go, how can we better, provide security and so forth, So I've been in combat zones for decades, and there are definitely ways to provide better security, and our military bases don't do that, right? Because they think that, they've never really had any problems with domestic terrorism, other than, like I said, active shooters on a base, right? Where somebody gets pissed off and shoots everybody up. Muslims usually, right? So stand by. You're probably going to see something very major happen on a military base, and then they'll crack down, right? That's the way the military works, guys. They're not very smart out there. All right, so although they have a lot of smart people, they also have a lot of dumb people that keep everybody under control from, really achieving their best, right? Like I've talked about, there's some people out there that get advanced that shouldn't get advanced, and then you get decision makers out there that are making stupid decisions. And then if someone gets out of line, everybody suffers. It's not the greatest system. All right, so breaking. So this is Israeli News Live. This particular person believes that there is potentially Netanyahu is in a coma. and that he's going to be negatively affected and so forth. So we've seen AI. The AI is complete BS, right? And I'm talking about where Netanyahu comes out and is, one of them, he had 6 fingers. Another one, he's drinking hot coffee, and it just doesn't work. And his hand goes into his pocket, and it's like obviously, CGI. And then he does one just recently, I think, with who's that governor of Arkansas, the former governor of Arkansas. He did one with him, I think yesterday. He's the ambassador, and both of them look all funkified, right, in that video. So it's very obvious to everybody that they're keeping the show alive for him. Now, he's not been in meetings that he has always been in, but he hasn't shown up for meetings. So something's wrong there, obviously. So other people are taking the task. You can see there's somebody that's sitting in his seat, so he's either in a coma or he's dead, or he's in a coma and he's going to die, or he's in a coma and, he's probably never going to be able to come back and do what he's done, because I guess the Iranians basically did a strike, and I guess the Iranians know as well that he was hit big time, right? So obviously the Iranians are doing a little payback for Israel taking out a lot of their guys. So this is something that you need to be aware of, everyone, because there are always consequences for when you go in and you do these type of operations, like we're seeing, I believe, possibly here in the United States at our military bases, guys, right? So is this just a probing that we're seeing U.S. military bases, or is this something that's going to go next level? I would say it's going to go massively next level, right? And so consequences for everything in a military. When you go kinetic, the reason sometimes you don't go kinetic is because that the other side has got this, and this that they can do, right? But then you weigh the odds of going in and doing what you're going to do, and you go ahead and make it. You go ahead and make those, do those missions, right? So those are always and should be the calculations of the military leadership. So again, I don't think they have taken into account they have poor leadership in the U.S. military, guys. They have advanced people that were probably deep state little puppets. They just do what they're told, and they don't make good decisions. And the deep state likes that. So we're going to see some problems, right? All right. So breaking, Netanyahu in a coma.
Can't really identify that it's Netanyahu, but it seems obvious that it probably is. And what I was told yesterday was that the prime minister is actually in critical condition. He is in a coma. He was in the bombing attack that Iran did, but he is not dead from the attack. He is in critical condition, and he is in a coma. And that kind of goes back to another source that I had that simply wrote, very simple, that I don't think he will need to need amnesty much longer. So it seems that also the Iranians believe that he was not dead as of yet, and that that he did survive. But
all right, so this guy reached out to he's got contacts that are high up, and they're basically telling him that Netanyahu's in a coma, and giving him some insights, right?
In a condition to where they do not think he can recover from his injuries. So at this point here, from my end, and I know this source pretty well, I already and feel that it is a very reliable information that Prime Minister Netanyahu is in a coma. And this is one reason why I think that there's not been any announcement about his death at this stage here.
So there you go. That makes sense. The reason why they have not shared that he is dead and here's who's going to take over is because he's in a coma, and they want to give him, the possibility that he may recover at some point and reassume his position. Who knows? So that's why they've been doing this very bad CGI, right? So, and how long will they continue that? And that's gonna, at some point they're gonna have to say, all right, yeah, he's bad off, and we tried to kick the can down the road a little bit. I mean, I don't think they're gonna do that. I think they're just gonna bullshit us and lie, because that's what they do. Just like Biden was dead, and so they had a double. So I don't know. Maybe they'll have a double come out and keep the show going. I don't know, guys. So, but it really, really does seem that that he's out of it. He's either going to be out of it forever, or he's going to be out of it for a long time, or something along those lines. So, what is that going to do for the war, the continuation of the war? And I'm saying the war, the conflict, right? Will the conflict be over in the next several weeks? So Mike says no. All right, so let's look at, and that doesn't mean that it's not going to turn out good. I think that it does turn out good because we're not doing a deep state, conflict right here. We're doing the guys that can generate downrange, really good activity. The guys that are of merit are active out there. Back in the States, you're going to have the guys that they're not the war fighters. They're the guys who are, back in the bases, right? Maybe some of those guys will be forwarded. Not a lot of them, but some of them maybe. I think the top shelf is already out there. The real merit-based, they're out there. They've been doing a great job. So, I've been in these conflicts, like I said, for a long time. You'll have the heavy hitters, the guys that do the real good knocking heads and so forth. They'll go downrange and kick ass. And when things settle down a little bit, then they bring those guys in the States that don't have good merit, and they'll come out and they'll F everything up, right? And that's what happened in Iraq. That's what happened in Afghanistan. The badasses kicked butt, and they're hanging out. Okay, what's the next mission? And then they started bringing in the jackasses, right? The generals and the colonels that aren't war fighters, and they come in and start making decisions that F everything up, right? I don't think that's going to happen this time. I think the war fighters are going to be able to, keep going until it's done. So that's deep state activity. And sometimes not just deep state activity. It's just the way that stupid system in the military works. You learn, or I did, how to work around the stupid military system, right? And sometimes you had leadership that's like, look the other way. It's like, okay, they're hammering it. I'm just going to cover for them. And then you had some guys that came in and tried to play by the book, and you've just made them a hero in the and now they want to assert themselves, and they're stupid, right? So that's a lot of you out there. I know I have a lot of audience out there, former military. You know what I'm talking about, right? And you can look at your wife and go, yep. It sucks. And so it's going to suck in the States, right? And then, but don't think that is going to impact downrange, right? So we've had years and years, decades and decades of deep state promoting their puppet boys and girls that are not merit based. So they're gonna do their stupid bullshit, right? And maybe they're getting directed to do it, and maybe they're just like put in those positions, and they're like, "Well, I'm Mr. Badass, so I'm going to start to make decisions," and it's not going to be good, right? So they're not war fighters. They don't think right. All right, so enough of that. The major averages. So back in, I think it was like, what was the last Thursday? About a week ago, I said, stand by, could be seeing a stock market crash. A lot of you smart guys out there, said, I thought you said it was going to be a stock market crash. Sometimes these things take time to work out, right? So Thursday, Friday, it did pull back pretty good. Monday, Tuesday, it went back up because that's sometimes the way these things work. It's a little yo-yo effect before things really start to unwind. And then you have someone that is a deep state little puppet boy. They didn't lower interest rates today, kept them the same. And the stock market did not like that, right? So energy prices went up. Barrel of oil, I think a Brent crude was up to $109 at one time. And WTI, West Texas Intermediate, crude oil was up at one point. I think it made it up around 98, and then it pulled back. And but usually when it pulls back, the stock market takes off. This time it didn't, because it was waiting on the Fed decision. And when the Fed decision didn't come and give the stock market its crack money, which is lower interest rates, it went down heavily today. All three major U.S. stock indexes closed sharply lower on Wednesday after a hot producer price index and an attack on a key Iranian natural gas field stoked investors' worries about inflation. So Iran is proving itself that it hates everybody, right? It's like bombing all of its neighbors. It won't let any oil go through the Hormuz Straits. And so it's a shit show. So it's taking time. Bombing is only going to do so much, guys. There's going to have to be some boots on the ground at some point. And I think they're starting to hit very, very heavily, deep bunker busting along the Straits of Hormuz, along that land. So some boots are going to have to go on the ground and make sure that's cleared out, guys. And that's the only way to do it. Whether special forces, there's not enough special forces, guys, right? So it's a mission that's not in their category. They come in and do lightning strikes in the dead of night, 0 dark 30, and then leave, right? So they don't go in and hold ground. So they can go in and prep an area, and then the regular guys can come in. I hope it's Marines. The Marines are the best. And they'll be able to handle that as long as they're backed up, which they will be with President Trump, right? So there's been a lot of exposure that's been happening on this. I said a couple of days ago that President Trump was basically exposing the deep state puppets in NATO. So will NATO cease to exist going forward? I mean, maybe the people that are in NATO that benefit from that, that's the Europeans, will continue. But I don't think the U.S. will. And if the U.S. pulls out, that's pretty much 90% of or more of the money and backing and everything they have. So, and that was the United States military was always a deep state tool, right? So Trump is taking that away from them. So all of the deep state stuff that they used our military for is collapsing, right? But of course, they still have their puppets within the military, okay? And we know that. So it's going to take time for those people to expose themselves and get flushed out of the system through merit-based, advancements, which Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has been very aggressive with. I think we're going to see this thing get moved in the right direction, to the point where we're just not going to have wars anymore. It's just not going to happen. We don't need. We've never needed wars, right? We could effectively, handle problems, confrontations, whatever, without going to war. It's because the deep state wanted us to go to war. It's the same thing in where our government is at war right now with each other. So you have the deep state Democrats and rhinos that are keeping us from, passing funding for Department of Homeland Defense. So we have, airports are going to start shutting it down. Air travel is going to shit soon, guys. Already is. There's a lot of people having to sleep on floors in airports because you have to get to the airport. Remember, you used to get to the airport like half an hour before your flight at the most, and then it had to be like 2 hours. And now I'm hearing that people are having to get there 3 or 4 hours before their flights now, because Department of Homeland Security is not paying the staff at the they do the screening at the airports. So people aren't showing up, and people are quitting because they're not getting paid. They haven't getting paid for a while. And people are donating to them. It's like, what the F? Are you kidding me? Now, President Trump, the ones that stayed during the last Democrat, and before, we never had these shutdowns. Never. I remember as a kid and as a teenager and as a young, Navy SEAL and so forth, the government never shut down. It's never happened. If there was, conflict or you didn't agree, they worked it out. Now, if you don't agree, then we're not going to do anything. So that's the way this completely effed up the political system we have is now. I think we should just wipe the board. Just wipe the friggin' board, right? And all the way down to the county level. Just wipe the friggin' board, right? No politicians, and then we'll start to reformulate, no more 1871 corporate bullshit where they basically come in all throughout our government. They're puppeted. I mean, why wouldn't you vote on the SAVE Act so that you have American citizens voting? That's the most basic bullshit there is. And these guys are fighting over that. That's insane. So everyone's getting exposed on that side. Well, I mean, so they get exposed. So, the governor of Colorado is exposed for the first person ever in history to oppose an executive decision to pardon Tina Peters. Ever. So President Trump could do an executive order, but you'll have Colorado and California and the entire left coast. We'll call them the left coast. This is my Iroquois Indian friend Ralph used to call them. So you're going to the left coast? Like, what? Oh, the left coast. And it took me a little bit to figure it out. And I was like, oh, yeah, they're liberal. They're leftists. I got it. So the same thing happened in Illinois. Same thing happened in New York and all the, Maine and Vermont and all of them. They'll just say, screw that. We're not going to do executive order. We don't give a shit. We're going to continue to cheat because we know that if we do the right thing, then you guys are going to win. Like what's happening in Texas. So there were like 23 Democrats that have been winning. And I put that out the other day. And then we have Texas just went wham, 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 wham. One win after another. Wham, wham, wham. I'm like, Texas, show them. Do it, Texas. Love it. And then the rest of you, wake up. Wakey, wakey. All right, get involved. So, Trump's approval rating is through the roof. Everyone's backing him on Iran, unless you're from the left coast. So, or leftist, wherever you're at. So, I know you're not listening to me, so I can talk like that. So the S&P dropped 91 points today, 1.4%. The Dow fell 768. or 1.6%. NASDAQ declined 324, 1.5%. So what does that mean in numbers, for the year? So that was the highest pullback that we've seen since December 18th, 2024, from a previous Federal Reserve decision day, right? So the market was like, we don't like it. And probably the Fed knew they wouldn't like it because they want to destroy our country. And at some point, the Fed goes bye-bye. We know that. President Trump has, been saying that, for a while now. Federal Reserve, it's not federal. There's no reserve. It's a bankster operation. They're mafia, and they're running our money. It's this complete bullshit. So again, another deep state operation being exposed and taken down systematically, right? So, but that doesn't mean that they can't come in like the idiots running our bases and cause problems, and maybe even consort with the enemy. Maybe even not push security because they know their base is going to be attacked. How would you like to find that out about somebody on one of those bases? Do you think the military might cover that up too? Probably, right? So there's not a lot of information out there about these bases being hit already. All right. And that's the way the military works, guys. They make a mistake. They look stupid. They don't want to look stupid to the public. So they're going to cover it up. All right. So let's look at the S&P. So I'll show you guys. So you guys are like, where are you getting these numbers? Go to Market Watch. Go to marketwatch.com. Right. So now look, 3 months, 1.44% down. Year to date, down 3%, a little over 3%. And then you're like, well, look at 1 year. It's up 16%. It's down a little bit. All right, you're going to see that wiped out soon, right? This puppy's going down 20%. So that's going to go bye-bye. All right, so you guys, they've been blowing me off and not getting into silver. You're going to find out, right? So now I know a lot of you are like, well, silver's down. Silver's down. Why? Yes, it is down. So, but let's look at silver and remember those numbers for the S&P, right? If you didn't write them down and you don't have a good memory, like I don't, then you're going to be befuddled. Dow falls nearly 800 points after Powell makes one thing clear: there's no rush to rescue the market. So they're going to be like, okay, then we're going to go down, because they don't like it when there's no, like, this is the way things are. I used to work with a lot of guys in the military. They're like, okay, what are we going to do? All right, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do, if this happens, you're going to do this. If this happens, you're going to do that. And then something completely different comes along, and they're like, they don't move. It's like, so it's crazy. It's crazy because a lot of people want to have everything wrapped up in a nice bow for them, and everything's perfect. That's why everything's gotten screwed up, because we haven't gotten involved in like making sure these jackasses that come in and screw everything up. So that little, pufferfish mouth boy right there, right? Look at that. Looks like a pufferfish to me, right? Pufferfish have those mouths. So if I saw him in the water, I'd be like, oh, pufferfish. So, and I'd like squeeze him and he'd blow up, to protect himself. So that's why you call them pufferfish. And they have like little tiny fins on their side. They can't get away. So you're like, oh, let's play. And they puff up and everybody holds them. Oh, it's so cute. And then you let them go and they get puffed down and then they swim away real slow. It's fun. They're cute. I don't think they're traumatized. I think they like it. I don't know. Maybe. But Powell, would he like if I pushed on him and tried to puff him up? Probably not. All right. So let's look at the futures. Let's see what the future is going to do. It doesn't mean that's what it's going to be tomorrow. But right now, the futures are down. So that probably is going to be a down day tomorrow and into Friday, but you never know. Now, silver, as you guys can see, is down. It was $80, I think, today or yesterday. So it got knocked down because people, when the market goes down, they have to some people have a backup. And their backup is silver and gold. So they sell it. So you see silver and gold is down. At some point, that money that's coming out of the market is going to start to go into silver and gold, and you're going to see it go big, right? And that's always happened. Always happens. So there could still be a pullback, a little bit more of a pullback, where you get an even better buying opportunity from where it's at right now. And then you're going to see it go to $150 real quick, right? And then like I believe, $250 mid-year. All right. So we'll see. If you're not in silver, you're going to ask yourself after you see this, why not? So remember, the S&P was up 13% over the year. Hello, even after pulling back 11% over the last 5 days, silver is still up 121%. Hello, how long have I been telling you to get into silver? Okay. It's a major move, guys. If you don't get into silver, I don't know why I went to LifeWave, but yeah, if you don't get into LifeWave too, so you can enjoy your wealth and not die because they've done the COVID-19 stuff on us. Then 5 years, that's about right, Tara Jones. 5 years from the point they injected us, that's when everybody starts dying off really quick. And I'm gonna show you guys that. So everybody has so many stories about people that are dying all around them. So anyway, silver is a long-term play. And it's not like, Bitcoin, it goes up 300% in a month. It's what was it? Not FTX, but FTX went under. But some of them, I've been in a lot of them. One was Dogecoin. I remember Dogecoin was 0.0000001, and I went heavy in it. At the time, I went several $100s is all I could afford, and I kept putting money into it. Every month I put money into it, and then it went to $1, and I was rich. I was like, I'm rich, bitch. And then I took my money and put it in other places. So you can, make money on some of these things, but there's a time and a place, right? And the time and the place is silver. And then silver is going to go up, and then you roll it over to gold, and then it goes up a little bit more, and then you buy property, and you buy, Bitcoin, which is going to be almost zero. I don't think it's going to go that low, but a lot of them are going to get knocked down. Stocks are going to get knocked down. You're not going to want to put, your money into all the stocks, but that's what you'll get unless you keep your money in the stock market and you're hard-headed and you don't go into silver, like have been recommending for over a year or so. Then you're going to get wiped out, and you're not going to have any money to invest in anything. And you're going to be like all those other seniors that lost everything in all these other stock market crashes that were engineered by the deep state. And you're going to be working at McDonald's. Is what it is, right? So it's sad. It's sad to see that, but you can protect yourself if you have a brain. If I only had a brain, said what was that? Was that Tin Man didn't have a brain of Scarecrow, or who was it? Scarecrow didn't have a brain. If I only had a brain. So I should know. I watched that about 100 times when I was a kid. But that was a long time ago when I was a kid. All right. And I know now that was totally compromised information. So they were talking about silver back then. Yellow Brick Road. They were trying to get everybody going to gold, but silver is a real one. right? Even back then, they were like manipulating stuff. All right, guys. Maui storm. Drone shows widespread flooding and destruction. Now, I had a recent show where I talked about this, and you should go watch that because it's very informative. And you'll see that this was a manufactured storm. Now, you guys that are in California, I've told you guys that, Maui was your wake-up call when they burned Maui with the directed energy weapons. And they're still affected at Maui. You're still affected in the LA area from the directed energy weapon fires, right? So if you'd gotten involved, you wouldn't have had that, right? Now, if you don't get involved after the Maui storm, where they manipulated this weather pattern, and they manipulated this weather pattern with the hurricanes. Now, I put out last year, why don't some good Navy SEALs go and raid some of these ships out there that are creating this weather, right? And we didn't have those storms that came ashore. How about that? So maybe some of my bros actually did some shipboarding, the good guys. So, like I said, you got to work around the knuckleheads. You got to work around the knuckleheads. It's better to ask forgiveness than sometimes to ask for permission, right? So not a lot of people have the cojones to do that, even in the military, but that does make a difference. It makes a difference for the world. It makes a difference for the American people. So you guys get it. Get involved out there. Work around this deep state bullshit. All right, so here you see this drone, and I'm going to let it just cruise around while I talk. All right, take the sound off. So just look at the devastation and know this was manipulated by the deep state. Now, you guys in California will probably get some of this at some point because you're not going to do anything, right? You're not going to get involved. You're not going to clean out Newsom or your mayors or, make sure your reservoirs are full. You're just not going to do it. It's just the way it is in California. You just kind of like hang out. I know I live in California. It's a beautiful state, beautiful weather. It's mesmerizing. And I guess it mesmerizes most people not to do anything. Now, I was a Navy SEAL, so I was very aware, right? But most people are not. And that's very tragic because, like you're seeing here, now the rain amounts that happen on the Big Island were very similar to the rain amounts that happen during Hurricane Helene in North Carolina. North Carolina, that's a long way from the coast to get affected by a hurricane. Wow, how about that? And so, these guys have their heart. They have their direct energy weapons. They have their, weather making machinery that's in boats, that's on the land, that's in trucks, and they can make this weather. And we don't do anything about it. We don't push back. We're not aware. A lot of people are like, yeah, there's no weather modification. Well, yeah, they've actually been doing that since the 1870s. Right? They've been doing this since the 1870s. They got this technology from Tesla. All right, so it is something that is going to probably come to California next because that's the way this works. They're trying to make 15-minute cities, and they have to burn and flood everybody out. So when COVID came around, you guys remember COVID, right? That 19 thing, and shut a lot of us down for that. They still have this thing where if you do medical misinformation, as they call it, then they will take your channel down still, or give you a strike, and all that kind of stuff. So we can kind of talk about it now. We still have not complete free speech, but we have a little bit that's come back if you learn how to talk. And so they did some very crazy things during that COVID stuff. And I was watching it, and I was talking about it, and I was watching Australia. I said, those poor Australians. I don't know why they're like hammering them so hard. They're making them do so many bad things. And then I saw it come to America. The same thing they were getting away with in Australia, they brought it to America. And I was like, damn, that's coincidental. And then I started to see the same thing happening again. They pushed another agenda in Australia. And I was like, that's crazy. Those poor Australians. And then I saw it happen in America. So what you're seeing here in Maui is coming to the mainland, right? If they get away with it here, you guys in California are going to get hammered because you're asleep. You go to the beach and you don't care. The weather's nice. You get with your friends, you go party, and you don't care, right? Now, there are some people that do. I know you're there. But, you know, if I bang on you Californians because I want to wake your asses up. I'm a Navy SEAL, and I want to, like, you know, run some training on you guys. I want you log PT, and right. So the only way I can do that is hammer you guys, and some of you guys get all butthurt about that. It's too bad. All right, I'm on a mission. All right, so that's sad, but that's coming to California. It's a done deal. All right. So The Economist poll drops a bomb. 91% of MAGA patriots approve of President Trump's decisive actions against Iran. Only 6% disapprove. Now, what is the numbers for the liberals? I want those numbers. All right. But we know that even Democrats want the SAVE Act. They want to have only, Americans voting, right? So there's no reason for Democrats to all get together and be as one and push back on the SAVE Act. There's no reason, but yet they will, right? Will all of them? Maybe if you guys call them up, maybe they'll get moving. But, you know, they're probably being paid a lot more than what you pay them. So probably not. And that's kind of the way that works, unfortunately. All right. So I haven't done this a long time. I used to do this, you know, every week, and then I did it every couple of weeks. And now I do it like maybe once every other month. But this is pretty much what's going on with all those people that are dying from that thing that went in everybody's arm during the COVID time frame, right? So this is Mark Crispin Miller. He's been on the forefront of putting this stuff out. I shared it on my private channel a lot. Then I started doing a little bit on Rumble. And so here's a little bit here on YouTube. So what they do is they basically look at people that have been vaccinated, right? Vaccinated, and they determine that there's problems, and they've been doing this for years now. Great work for them for doing this. A survey of the likely global toll. So this will be America, but they do it all over the world. And so I'm just showing you the global tragedy of the COVID shot, and that happened here in America. And, you know, some people have done this research, you know, I'm like, I can't say that it's absolute, you know, but I talk to people, and some of you guys go ahead and put in the chat how many people you know have gone bye-bye from that thing in their arm, right? Go ahead and start chatting about it so people can see, because a lot of people still dumb down about this. In memory of those who died suddenly in the United States and worldwide, and this is just in 1 week, right? Footballer. All right. Former Buccaneers and CFL Canadian Football League player dead at 33. That's an interesting year. 33 years after quitting football over health concerns. So they always look at these people and go, did they get that thing in the arm? and all these people have. They do the research. So sometimes he won't say it right up front. So he had concerns, and this is true, that a lot of hits to the head, cause problems. Same thing happens for military guys, around explosives and so forth. It causes PTSD. A lot of they don't want to talk about that because then they have to support these people. So the NFL and the CFL and the military, they just kind of blow it off. It's yeah, maybe PTSD is caused by that. I don't know. So yeah, a lot of it is. So it injures the brain. So he participated in Tampa Bay Buccaneers rookie mini camp before playing 3 years in Canadian Football League. Walked away in 2018. So that's before, he got the thing in the arm. But once he got the thing in the arm, so he's basically, he's dealing with problems already. Healthy guy, obviously. But he's dealing with some problems. And then this thing that breaks down your immune system and compromises you on many levels comes in, and a lot of people go bye-bye, right? And that's what we're seeing. Singer, songwriter, musician, Maritri, sudden passing. So a lot of these are sudden deaths, right? And they don't put what was the cause of death. No age or cause of death reported. So when I used to do this, I would say it because I'd said it so many times. There's no cause of death reported, right? And I go, Billy Gilliland's mother Frances has died. It was sudden and unexpected. And then it says no cause of death. No cause of death reported. Right? Former Space and Rocket Center CEO dies after brief illness. No cause of death reported. All right, she headed up the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11 moon landing. And East Bay loses Newhouse and Stewart, longtime forces of sports writing. Now, we know that the sports guys really push this. And they are starting to go bye-bye now, right? So it takes a little time for the immune system to break down. But we're seeing a lot of these guys are starting to go away, especially if they're older. So the older ones are going faster than the younger ones that have better immune systems, but their immune systems are being broken down as well. So, I mean, a lot of people 3 days after they're gone. And then it's a slow breakdown of the immune system and complications, heart problems, on and on and on. So he was 87 when he died on Thursday. His death was due to heart failure. So, beloved Greek American news anchor Ernie Anastos passed away at the age of 82. So you're like, he's an old guy. He's an old guy. Look at that guy. He's like, so you get that finger point. It's like, you can be young like I am. So look at that guy. He's like super healthy. Anastos received more than 30 Emmy Awards and nominations in his remarkable career, which spanned nearly 50 years. So in 2020, Anastos took a break from Fox 5 to enroll at Harvard Business School to take leadership and management courses. Too bad. Because what did Harvard do? Harvard drops COVID-19 booster requirement as U.S. public health emergency ends. That was back in May 10th, 2023. So, you know what they made people do at Harvard to attend Harvard? That's right. So, Harvard University Health Services Executive Director Gyang T. Nguyen announced Monday that Harvard affiliates will no longer be required to obtain COVID-19 boosters, though students will still be required to provide proof of initial vaccination. How about that? Well, I wonder what the numbers are at Harvard during that time frame. Wonder what they are as far as like bye-bye. That would be interesting, right? All right, crude oil is pumping. So we're probably going to see, because it's pumping, like I said, if crude goes up, stocks go down. If crude goes down, stocks go up. So we saw that on Monday and Tuesday. Crude went down, stocks went up. And every time the crude started to recover, stocks started going down. And then, like we saw today, everything collapsed. Everything. All right. So oil, if you had invested in oil, year to date in January, you'd be up 72%. So I don't know. Maybe you can still invest in oil. Maybe this confrontation that's going on in Iran will go on, and oil will continue to go up, and you can make a profit. So I know I had a lot of friends who used to invest in oil. It was always a sure deal, right? So had a Nino show up, so that's what their little ding ding was. Fertilizer shock. The closure of the Strait of Hormuz could cause widespread global food shortages. If commercial traffic through the Strait of Hormuz remains paralyzed for months, we will witness a global food crisis on a scale that many experts would have once considered to be unthinkable. Over the past couple of weeks, there has been much written about how the closure of the Strait of Hormuz has caused the price of oil to rise, has caused the price of natural gas to soar to insane levels, and has caused the average price of diesel in the United States to jump above $5 a gallon. I remember back in, what was that? Back in like 2001, 2002, diesel was below $1. I think I was getting it for 89 cents. 89 cents. And everybody started buying diesel vehicles. I had a diesel truck. It was great. It was a dually, Dodge dually, great truck, 3,500, big ass truck for a big ass guy, right? I put a cap on the back. I slept in that thing a lot when I left the Navy. So it's SEAL teams, because once you leave and you find out how much you don't make anymore, it's like, oh shit. So I watched the price of diesel skyrocket, because they're like, oh shit, people are going to diesel. We got to make that expensive. We got to get our money's worth out of that, because we're not getting it from regular gas. So, bastardos. All right. So I mean, it used to cost me like $20, something crazy, $25 to fill up my truck, and then it got up to the point where it was like over 100. Oh, I was getting hammered. I didn't have that kind of money. It sucked. So, and I know there's a lot of people out there that are going through that. I feel for you. All right. So another world crisis sparked by the war in Iran may also be in the offing. That's because the region's oil and gas production has made it one of the world's leading exporters of nitrogen fertilizers, which are indispensable to the global food system. So they make it there. You need nitrogen and ammonia. I don't know. Maybe they'll start going back into the bat caves and get the bat guana. So maybe they can make do with that. I don't know. I don't think there's enough bat guana to, we got huge farms these days. All right, so let me show you guys. This is, and you can go look at this. This is fascinating. Mariner.com. So it keeps like blowing up. Stay where I put you. Stay. All right. So I can share and show everybody. All right. I think it's going to stay there. Good. All right. So look at all these dots on both sides of the Strait of Hormuz. All right. So all those little blue dots, those are big ships. So I'll click on one. That's a tanker, right? Let's go over here and let's click on that one of thousands that are in here. Right? Tankers everywhere, but not a oil to share. All right. So here's one. Looks like a drilling platform. What's this little red dot thing? That's a big one. So you can, let me scroll out. So as you guys can see, there's a lot. See where there's a lot. There's this redness. That's a lot. There's a lot there, right? That's up around Iraq and Kuwait, and you see there's really nothing going on around that that strait there. There's nothing parked there. There's just a bunch of missiles pointing in that direction. So, all right. So on one side, a lot, and look at all these ships. Look at all those ships. Wow. Let's just go in there and just punch something. All right. So these are tanker after tanker after tanker, hundreds, I don't know, maybe thousands, right, of tankers that are just sitting there, not moving, not making money, not moving that oil around the world. All right. So it's a problem. It's a massive problem right now. It's going to continue. So they're like, doing oil reserves all over the place. Eventually that's going to run out. Right? And I think Egypt has already told people to start to, cut back on their electric use. So it's already beginning. So, using electricity. This is a big problem in the Middle East already. They don't have a lot of good power generation. So they don't have the fuel to run those generation plants. They're going to have to start to do, like I've seen throughout the Middle East, when I spent time there, rolling blackouts, right? So they'll cut the power off to one area at first they'll start maybe 2 or 4 hours. And then, they'll roll it to another area. So manufacturers and all that kind of stuff, they get affected too. So plants and stuff, they have to shut down. So that massively affects the economy. And we're going to have Australia have like 2 weeks of oil left. Oof. Yep. You Aussies always get hammered. What's up, Aussies? Come on. You guys are like too laid back down there. You're going to have to start to stand up. So that's really going to affect a lot of areas, unfortunately. But for Tesla investors, there's good news. Right? The Tesla Roadster should be coming out soon, and it will have a speed that will take it from 0 to 60 in less than 1 second. Right? I don't know. Maybe I have to have one of those. Right? So that's fast. I might get in trouble going that fast, though. I don't know. Get a red one, and the cops are like, "Oh, we pull over all the red ones. The black ones, they just go by. But if you got a red one, we're going to pull you over. You don't even have to be going fast. We're going to pull you over." Right? So, I've never had a red car. I always wanted one, but so I don't know. Maybe I'll splurge and just drive it up and down the street fast. Right? Make sure there's no one out. Do it late at night or whatever. No, I'm kidding. So everybody's going to be affected, and that's why they want us to go to electric vehicles. Right? So you're not going to have any gas. So if you have an electric vehicle, another reason why they do these things, shysters. All right, guys. Watch for the stock market. It's probably going to go down. I think it's going to hit 20 to 23% down, because that's normal for it to go down and correct the 23%. And then you're going to have President Trump probably get his Federal Reserve pick, who's going to come in and start cranking the rate down. That's going to boost the stock market and boost the economy into the elections. Yes. And so we'll suffer, and then we'll have such amazingness, everybody will forget how much we suffered. Now, I want to commend everybody out there for I won't say suffering. Hopefully not everyone suffering. Some people will, unfortunately, but everyone that is dealing with this and will deal with this and believes that this is the right thing. This is the right thing. I believe it's the right thing. And many of you do. Like I said, 91% of people believe in this war that are Republican and are, I would say, conservative, not Republican. I'm not a Republican. I'm not an independent. I'm not a Democrat. I'm just like, who's going to do the best job, right? So we're going to, have some difficulties. It's not going to be all roses. So I want to commend everyone that tightens the belt and works through this because Americans are doing the right thing right now, right? So it's a great time for America. Now we hear that the Israelis are the chosen ones. I don't agree with that at all. It's like everyone's equal in my book, but God, honors and helps people that do the right thing. So I think that Americans are doing the right thing right now, right? All right, so keep doing the right thing, stay in the love vibration, because these bastardos do not like that love frequency. They're very nasty, negative psychopaths. So when you surround them with that love frequency, send them lots of love. Send them lots of love. And it basically breaks down their frequency. They can't think right. They make mistakes, and then we take over and we make the world a better place. Simple as that, right? All right. Lots of love. See you guys next time.